Hi, this is Alex, and if you love music, well, you've come to the right place because we're all about albums. On a previous video, I talked about the band Giant Sand and their album Tucson, which in 2022 was the 10-year anniversary of their album. And I said that on Record Store Day, unfortunately, I was unable to get a copy of the album, but a shout out to my son. I don't know how much he spent. I'm sure it was a lot on the secondary market, but he got me a vinyl copy of the album, and just a big thank you. And this sort of leads me into today's topic. As most of you already know, I'm a big believer in physical media, that is owning your own music. And there are many reasons for this, but mainly the reason I have given in the past, which I believe is true, is supporting your artist. This is how they make a living, and if you want your favorite artists and music to be made year after year, you got to support them. This is their livelihood. However, my living situation has temporarily changed, as most of you can see on my more recent videos than my past videos. And in saying that, I do not have access to my stereo system. So what can I do instead? Well, I am stuck streaming music, and I'm doing so through an all-in-one player. And because I've been streaming music, I have been thinking about the resolution of music in digital streaming. But even if you don't like streaming music or downloading music, it can still be a pleasurable experience. This experience can sound great, and that is if you can listen to music in high resolution audio. Before I talk about today's topic of why high resolution music matters, I want to give a little background on what high resolution music is. Simply stated, high-resolution audio is any music that is presented in higher than CD quality sound. And CD quality is 16-bit, 44.1 kilohertz, or sometimes 48 kilohertz. This is lossless audio that is capable of reproducing the full range of sound from a source that was mastered from music files that are greater than CD quality. Now, we talked about that CD quality is 16-bit, so let's talk about bits first. Bits are the possible amplitude values that we can record from an audio sample. That is, bits are the dynamic range. So bits are often given as 16-bit, which you can see in CD quality, and then in high resolution audio, we talk about 24 and even 32 bits. Now, the dynamic range of a CD, which is 16-bit, is 96 decibels. That is recording from the most quiet sound all the way up to a full orchestral sound. Thus, the higher the bit range, the greater the dynamic range of the musical recording. This allows for a more accurate signal, which improves the musical quality and accuracy. The second value given is the frequency, and simply stated, frequency is the sampling rate. This is how often we acquire data points per second to acquire the digital signal. So the higher the sampling rate, which is given in kilohertz, the more points are acquired per second. This gets us closer to the original recorded sound. Now, frequency is given in multiples of 44.1 or 48 kilohertz, and therefore what we see commonly is that high frequency resolution is given in the value of 96 kilohertz, or 192 kilohertz, and even sometimes 384 kilohertz. So let's pause and look at what the frequency differences are for the different musical sources. Now, MP3 files give us 320 kilobits per second. whereas a CD gives us 1411 kilobits per second. So therefore, CD is approximately 4 times the information that an MP3 would give you. Now, high resolution is 9216 kilobits per second, which is approximately 6.5 times that of CD quality sound, and approximately 28 times that of an MP3. So you can see that high resolution has a lot more musical information available for you to enjoy. Now, most of you already know that Spotify, they use MP3 quality sound, whereas recently Apple Music and also Amazon Prime, their music is in CD quality. Now, if you want even higher than CD quality sound, you can stream music at Tidal or Qobuz, and if you have the proper software and hardware, you can listen to music in high resolution. So therefore, the more bits and the higher the kilohertz or the sampling rate, the better the quality of sound. Now, why don't we have that done for every type of music available? Why does Spotify want to use MP3? Well, obviously, there's a downside. And what's the downside of high resolution music? Mainly is the size of the file that you obtain. That is, these files are huge and take up a lot of storage space. So for things, if you're carrying music on your portable device, obviously this has limitation as to how much music you can carry. You can carry a lot more songs at MP3 quality than you can at even CD quality, or God forbid, you have music in high resolution on your phone. If you want to do a download, downloads will take a lot longer to occur with high resolution files, obviously because the files are larger, but also if you look at the prices of downloading a file that's at MP3 quality, CD quality, or high res quality, you can see that the prices increase for the album as you increase the resolution. Finally, there's an issue with the size of the file coming across in streaming and buffering. You may get interruptions if you don't have good signal. Now, today, most of these issues are solved. Storage has become a lot cheaper. Also, today we're talking about terabytes rather than megabytes for storage. And finally, as far as buffering, for consumers out there, our Wi-Fi signals have increased significantly in speed, and this problem with buffering has mostly gone away. The vast majority of listeners out there listen to music in MP3 quality, and for the most part, they appear to be happy, or at least they don't know enough to complain. The argument usually goes, well, if I can listen to music for free or low resolution at minimal cost, why not? Why should I want to pay more for high resolution? Okay, I get the argument. Money is a very important issue when it comes for us making decisions in our daily lives. However, and this is my main point here, I believe in the value of the money you're spending. In other words, what are you getting for your hard-earned dollar when you go to higher resolution music than just MP3 sound? So this concept of value is what I want to touch upon. Many times it makes more sense to pay more money for something because it gives you better value. How is that? Well, for example, if you go to one of the warehouses that sell items in bulk, most of the times you can get a better value for your dollar as each item is cheaper than if you would buy them one at a time. Other times a product may cost more than a similar product, and yet you get better value. How's that? Well, for example, you may pay more for a refrigerator, but because it comes with a better motor, it will last longer and give you better value for your dollar. Similarly, if you want to buy, for example, a washing machine, a dryer, a dishwasher, buying one of those products that cost more with stainless steel tanks, well, those products are going to stay longer in your house and give you better value for your dollar. And finally, value can be perceived value. That is, it makes us more comfortable or happier with our purchase, even though we may have paid more. Most of you may argue that high resolution falls into this perceived value category, and on the surface that appears to be true. However, I believe that high resolution music goes beyond just this happiness level. I think that there are other reasons why high resolution music matters, and the value is there. First off, high resolution files are closer to the original master recording, and because of this, you get a closer representation of what the engineer and the artist intended for you to hear. Now, why is that important? Well, if you truly like an artist, you'll probably appreciate them even more if you actually hear most or all of what is truly on the recording. You owe it that much to the artist and the musicians to actually hear what they want you to hear. Second, high resolution music brings the live event into your listening space. This truly does represent value for your hard-earned dollar. How's that? Well, think about a concert which comes to your town. Most ticket prices these days are rather pricey. However, if you have a high resolution file of this artist, it's as if you're bringing the live event of the artist into your listening space, just like a concert would. Now, I don't want to take anything away from going to a live event. I love going to live events, and it can be a lot of fun, can be exhilarating, memorable, and sometimes even life-changing. But if the artist isn't coming to your town, or if the tickets are all sold out, think Taylor Swift, as well as the prices are extremely lofty, especially if you have to rely on the secondary ticket market. So listening to high resolution of the artists is still a great way to bring that artist and listening to them as close as possible to the live event. And third, many of you may not have been around to see the artists in their heyday when there are live recordings of that artist available. Most of you out there probably didn't go to Woodstock in 1969, as well as see the Rolling Stone in their heyday in the 1970s, or many other bands in their heyday. So wouldn't you want to be as close as possible to that listening experience? Well, high resolution gets you most of the way there. So in summary, I believe that high resolution music does give you value for your dollar, and not only are you supporting your artists more, you will be enjoying the recordings of the artists more. So high resolution files will replicate more closely the live event that is in the studio or at the concert hall. Second, if there's more information on the high resolution files, there'll be greater musical detail and therefore greater texture to the music, and this will draw you closer to your favorite artists. And finally, you are getting perceived value as well, as you are going to get musical enjoyment from high resolution files that you cannot get from low res or even CD quality files. And isn't that what this hobby is all about? You audiophiles out there and music lovers, you all want to get that feeling of being there. And that's why I believe high resolution music truly does matter. As always, I invite all your comments, which I truly enjoy and try to respond to each and every one of you out there. So let me know what you think about high resolution audio and if you're buying into what I'm selling. And now for the previous video's unknown album. I know you have to go back, I think, 3 videos to find my last unknown albums. And the first one is a homage to my friend behind me. You can see on the left is David Crosby's last album that he released recently. And also behind me, that is the Mobile Fidelity one-step recording of the Crosby, Stills, Nash album, which is a landmark album. If you don't own this album, you need to get this in your collection. It is vital for every music lover out there. This is a very important album. Not only is it important, the music is outstanding, and there have been many great new remasters of the album, and I would recommend the one step if you can afford it. It is worth it. It is truly a great record. And the reason I put them out there is the first unknown album is by David Crosby, If I Can Only Remember My Name. The album was released in 1971 on the Atlantic label, and it is David Crosby's first solo work. Although when the album originally came out, it was not highly regarded by critics. Fans love this album, and most people would agree this is David Crosby's best work outside of Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. The album peaked to number 12 on the Billboard LP charts, and it was certified gold. Now, for those of you out there who are looking for this album and it's worth seeking out, it's a lot easier to get these days. It has been remastered and re-released recently, and I also highly recommend this album. It is a valuable addition to anyone's music library. The second unknown album is by the Doobie Brothers, and that is their album Taking It to the Streets. Now, this album came out in 1976, and it was on the Warner Brothers label. This is the first Doobie Brothers album that featured Michael McDonald as the lead vocalist. What happened was Tom Johnston, who wrote and sang many of the songs by the Doobie Brothers prior to this time, was suffering from stomach ulcers, and he had to curtail his touring with the band. And because of that, Michael McDonald came on with the band and took over much of Tom Johnston's duties. This album did quite well as it peaked to number 8 on the US Billboard charts. And now for the first unknown album. Great, hope you got that one. The second unknown album. Great, hope you got that one too. As always, if you think you know the answer, let me know on the comment sections below and I'll let you know how you did. As always, this is Alex with All About Albums. Thanks for listening. Have a great day. And remember, keep them spinning.